What's up, YouTube? It's your barber girl T Fire the Barber, and welcome back to another fade on the Faded Room. Today we have a different, interesting fade for y'all, and I hope you guys enjoy it and tune in all the way to the end. So let's get right into it. Pretty much, I go in and create my design to this fade just because I want to know exactly where I'm going to be at when I start fading the hair. So I usually try to create the design beforehand, unless the design is going to be in the fade, then I could just create it at the end. But for this fade, I pretty much choose to create the design first. So I'm pretty much going in, as you guys can see, and creating, my outline of my design. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back into this hair and create my first guideline, and it's going to pretty much be a drop fade into the back of this design at the back of his head. So I hope you guys enjoy this fade. So here's the outline. I said this was going to be an interesting cut because this is the first time I'm doing a design like this on his head, and also, it's not your traditional fade. It's being creative, so I had to go in and think about how I wanted this design and the fade to look, and so I went in and chose to have the fade drop a little bit back into the design. As you can see, my first guideline here, I'm going in and creating my first guideline. So after we're done creating our first guideline here, then we're just going to pretty much clear this whole area out, you guys. We're just going to get rid of all the hair, keep it nice and neat as possible. As you can see, we're pretty much just taking off all the hair. I apologize for his face. I should have gave him a wipe to wipe his face before we started, but he had just gotten out the sun, so there is a little bit of sweat there. But as you can see, this fade and this first outline is pretty much gearing to go straight towards this design, the design in the back. I'm just gonna clean that area out. I could say this is one of those people where you get clients and you get people who have certain type of hair. His hair, the way after you're done blending it, it looks pretty nice at the end. He has like that nice type of grain of hair that, the blend just looks so much better with it. And now we're pretty much moving into our second step, which is creating our second guideline. That second guideline is always just to blend out that first initial guideline that we created. It's a bit of a difference, not enough where you can see it, but enough that it makes a difference at the end of the cut. And here we are, we just go back with our liners and pretty much just blend those two outlines, and that whole area is pretty much nice, clean, smooth, and blended. And now we're going to go into our next step with our clippers all the way open, and we're going to create our third guideline, going about an inch up, and just follow the shape of the first two guidelines. As you can see, this is how the design, the fade is just going to lead into the design in the back of the head. Now we're going to take our clipper halfway and blend out that guideline that we created with no guard all the way open, clipper all the way open. And we're just lightly tapping and stroking, pause. We're flicking halfway up into that guideline that we had created. And you're just going to see that area start blending together with the bottom guide and the top. That whole area is just going to look really smooth and blended. So far, you guys can see how it's just coming together, and like I said, certain type of hair, it just blends different, and this is one of those. So here we're just gonna pretty much keep moving our lever and just blending that area, making sure it's nice and blended as we could get it. That's always the goal through every haircut, is just to get it as nice and blended as we can. This is just a creative cut, you guys. It's not a traditional someone just coming in the shop and just want to fade, drop down. It takes a lot of thinking and seeing how you want to make your cut look at the end. But here we go into our next step, which is our number 1 guard all the way open, and we're going to create our next guideline. As you guys can see, we're really still trying to keep that shape that we first created. So we're just going to follow that, create our guideline. As much as we could go back and keep creating a guideline, as good as these hair blend, we all know that this grain of hair also is harder to take off. So you just got to keep going back in until it gets to the point where, you know, your guide is completely in. And now we're going to close the lever, and we're going to go back in, and we're going to knock out that guideline that we created. As you guys can see right there, there's a little bit of a dark hint still left, but this number 1 guard all the way closed is knocking out a good amount, a good bulk of it. So we're just going to have to go back in and knock out that rest of that guideline that's there. But for now, we're just going to keep blending out that guideline with the number 1 all the way closed. Now we're going to go in with the half and knock out the rest of that guideline that's left. That dark mark that you can see, that's pretty much what we're trying to blend out, and blend that into the rest of the haircut. So just take our time right here. Even though the blade is laid flat, I'm not using the whole blade, and I'm also not digging into the back of his head. I'm just lightly tapping, going up, tapping, and just knocking out that line as much as we can, and get it to blend as much as we can without creating another guideline or encroaching into the other guidelines that we've already created. As you guys can see in the back there, we still have a little dark area, so we're going to do the same thing. Just use about half of our blade just to blend out that side of the head and get that dark line out. And this is where you just got to be creative. If the number half is not working, you just go down to a number 1 and blend the area out. We're not, like I said, we're not going and encroaching on the other guidelines that we created. So you have to do an upward motion without touching the rest of the head, and also taking out that dark mark at the same time. So those are the things you're looking for while you're doing this. As you guys can see, that side is blended, and we're gonna do some cleanup work at the end of the cut, but we're ready to move to the other side. And as you guys know, this side of the head pretty much goes faster because we already done the other side, completed the other side of the head. So we're just gonna make this a little bit faster, going in, creating our first guideline, and blend up from there. This is clipper all the way closed, and we're just creating a guideline right there, you guys. You can see, and just trying to match it in the back. The reason why I haven't blended the back of this head or leave this area that you could see that's a little darker in the back is because at the end of that, I want that to be blended into the design. So I'm pretty much gonna go in and blend that area at the end of the hair, at the end of the fade, just to make it blend. And you guys will have to see what I mean at the end of the actual cut. So we're just gonna let this side play out and keep this blending of the hair going, of this fade. And I would like to take this time to just talk to you guys and let you know throughout the haircut what I do think about, and also what I do to try to help myself improve, because throughout this journey we're still all learning, and we all got a whole lot to learn and a whole lot to get better. So throughout this process, I'm also learning. One of the first things that I learned, or that I will tell you guys, is to be your biggest and harshest critic. That will help you improve more than anything, I believe, because if you're able to constructively criticize your work and know where you need to improve at, and know where you messed up at, and knowing how you'll adjust it for the next time that person do sit in your chair, those are things that I believe help you more than anything else. So that's one thing I'll say, guys. Just be your harshest critic, be kind to yourself, but you also got to be harsh and criticize your work, because that's how you get better. And that's what I do throughout all my haircuts and after my haircuts. I do sit there, if I do take video or any type of content, I look back and try to critique what I did wrong or I see I could have improved, because I feel like even though I do a great job, I feel like you could always improve any in any situation. And this is no different. There are things about this haircut that I noticed and that I would have to get better at, and that I later was able to adjust and go back and fix it. I wasn't able to get it on camera because my battery had died at that point, but there are things throughout the haircut or at the end of the haircut that I noticed that I'll go back, where if throughout the haircut I would have noticed it, or done a better job to notice it, I wouldn't have to be at that point. But it's all a learning process, like I said, and just be your harshest critic so you could catch things like that. I don't feel like anyone's perfect, and here is an example of it, you guys. But we're on this journey and we're gonna learn and grow and everything together. And I just want to take out the time again to say I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys subscribing. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm loving and enjoying the feedback that you guys are giving me, talking to me, and everything like that. I really do appreciate that. So let's get back into this cut. As you can see, we're at the top of the cut here, and we're just doing finishing touches to blend this side out and try to match it to the other side of this fade. Sorry you guys, I kept getting into the shot, but as you can see, this side is pretty blended too, so we're just gonna keep doing detail work. This is the half guard, and we're just gonna go in there and knock out that guideline. And here we go with the no guard all the way open, and as you guys can see, I'm not digging into the scalp or digging into the hair. I'm just gliding the blade on top of the skin and knocking out those dark areas. We're just gonna keep moving our lever, adjusting our lever up and down to adjust to this area and blending out this area, and then we're gonna move into the back and finish up this haircut. Finish the back of the haircut, then we're gonna move into the hairline. But yeah, for now, as you guys can see, it's just detail work, just a lot of detail work to blend this hair, and this blend is looking pretty nice and smooth so far. And we just got the back of the head to finish. So we're gonna go in here, and like I said, this is the reason why I left the back of the hair, because I wanted to do both sides at the same time, just to blend it and see how I'm gonna want it to look at the end of the hair cut. I feel like throughout, when you're doing designs and when it's just on the spot, you're just figuring out, you're just carving. To be honest, it's just mental carving and just trying to, sketch out something that you see in your head on the client or the canvas that's in front of you. And here we are. We're gonna go back and clean that up later, but now we're gonna move into the hairline. My battery died, so I was able to do the left side of his hairline, and now only the right side is left. So we're still gonna go in here, and as you guys can see, we're just gonna lightly tap and get his hairline as straight as possible. He has a really healthy, nice dark hairline, so it makes it even better. And just match up both sides, getting our sides done, getting our lineup clean. And here we are, you guys. So we're just gonna put a tad bit of enhancements just to enhance his lineup and to bring out this cut and this style a little bit more. And yes, you guys, I do use the business card, and I feel like it's done by everybody, and it's done by multiple people before, and it's a good way to promote if you really think about it. But yeah, now we're gonna go back in here and just lightly spray and enhance his hairline a tad bit more, just following a lineup that we already created, and just lightly spray just to blend in that area. And you can see his hair blending pretty good with it, pretty easily. This is another part of the hairline where I feel like you see things that you have to improve on. Right there, you see the enhancements kind of got sprayed off, so we just try to take that off as much as we can. without cutting the skin, being very gentle, pulling the skin, pulling it back. The direction that you pull the skin should be in the opposite direction that you're pulling the razor. So if you're pulling the razor down, you're supposed to be pulling the skin up. This is so that you could get a tighter grasp on the skin, and so the razor could just glide right on top of the skin. As you can see here, it's just gliding and it's not cutting the client. We're just gonna take off that excess hair that's on top of his forehead just to get a cleaner canvas, a cleaner area. Now we're gonna go into the back of the design, and we're just gonna do some detail work in the back here in the design, just taking our time and just try to get our lines as clean and not as nice as possible. I'm not gonna say I'm the best at designs because it's something I'm still working on and still learning. So I feel like it's not my best design in the world, but also it's not the worst design ever. So I still decided to share this video with you guys because, like I said, there's always things to learn, and I feel like this is one of those good moments, but also a learning moment. So we're making our way towards the end of this haircut, and we're just doing cleanup work because we're gonna see what the outcome is of this haircut. Sorry you guys about the little boy in the back. He was not trying to get his haircut, and he had 3 people trying to strap him into that barber chair. But let's get back to the haircut. We're just doing detail work, like I said, and just waiting for the outcome of this haircut. Again, I just want to thank you guys for all the love, all the support, all the comments. I appreciate all you guys, and I'm actually having fun. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you can get notified every time a video is dropped. So here, you guys, this is the end of this haircut. Again, this is your barber girl, T Fire the Barber. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of The Faded Room. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch y'all on the next fade. Alright, I'm out.